Yeah, we're good.
You
Yeah.
got summer.
It's just- And then we'll listen to some.
I'm not ready. I'm not thinking. Call the meeting to order. As a courtesy, everyone, please take a moment to silence any devices that might interrupt the meeting. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to this meeting of the Mayor and Common Council of Westminster Incorporated, February 5th, 1819. We're gathered here at this historic city hall, originally an estate built in 1842 by Colonel John K. Longwell. The city acquired this building in 1939 and since has been the venue where the mayor and council conducts the city's business. Now we will begin as we do every meeting with the pledge to the flag, followed by a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. One interesting fact about Westminster is Sergeant Schreiber, who was born in 1915, died in 2011. Though born in Westminster, Sergeant Schreiber went on to become a national figure. He was the founding director of the Peace Corps, a key architect of President Lyndon B. Johnson's War on Poverty, and the U.S. ambassador to France. He also ran for vice president in 1972 alongside George McGovern. One interesting note, I was in a castle in some very remote village in Ireland, and every little town has a castle in Ireland. And we're in the castle. We were there because we had friends that lived there. We were visiting them. And we go inside and lo and behold, there's a giant display about Sergeant Schreiber. And apparently he went to that castle on a regular basis. So it's pretty wild seeing this. Anyway, moving on. The council typically convenes on the second and fourth Monday of each month. Please note these meetings are open to the public here at City Hall and are also streamed live on the city's YouTube page, as well as the Community Media Center channel and website. We extend our gratitude to the Media Center for their partnership in ensuring public access to these meetings. Copies of this evening's agenda and the entire information packet that the council will be using are available online on the city's website. Hard copies of the agenda are available here in the front of the room for the two of you in attendance. Okay, we have a public hearing this evening on the ordinance related to HUD annual 5-year plan for 2025 through 2029 in the city of Westminster. Public hearings are conducted by the mayor. So Madam Mayor, the gavel is yours.
Thank you very much, sir. I'll call this public hearing in order. The mayor and common council, acting as Board of Commissioners of the Housing Authority of the City of Westminster, HACW, is holding a public hearing for the authority's draft annual PHA plan and 5-year plan. During the public hearing, the public will be afforded an opportunity to present in-person, oral, and/or written comments on the Housing Authority's draft annual PHA plan and 5-year PHA plan. And at this time, I'll ask the report to be given by Mr. Brown, our Director of Housing.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. The Mayor and Common Council, the resolution number 76-5 declared itself to be a public housing authority within the meaning of federal and state law. The Public Housing Authority is required to have a governing body that is responsible for oversight, policy formulation, as well as policy and contract approval. In the case of the Westminster Housing Authority, the Mayor and Common Council is that governing body. The Public Housing Authority, or PHA, plan process was established by Section 5A of the United States Housing Act of 1937, which was amended by Section 511 of the Quality Housing and Work Responsibility Act of 1998, creating the requirement for submission of a 5-year plan and annual plan by all PHAs administering public housing and housing choice voucher programs. Pursuant to 24 CFR 903.17 sub A. The PHA's Board of Directors or similar governing body, that is the mayor and common council, must conduct a public hearing to discuss the PHA's plan, either the 5-year plan or the annual plan as applicable, and invite public comment on the plan or plans. The public hearing must be conducted at a location that is convenient to the residents served by the PHA. The Public Housing Authority Plan is a comprehensive guide to a PHA's policies, programs, operations, and strategies for meeting local housing needs and goals. There are two parts to the PHA plan, the 5-year plan and the annual plan, which are submitted to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development every 5th PHA fiscal year and annually, respectively. The Housing and Economic Recovery Act provides an exemption for public housing agencies with 500 units or less from the requirement to prepare and submit an annual plan. The Westminster Housing Agency has 297 vouchers and is exempt from the requirement of submitting an annual plan each year. However, the Westminster Public Housing Agency must submit a 5-year plan every 5th PHA fiscal year. The Westminster Housing Agency made the draft plan available for public review and comment. The draft annual and 5-year plan were available on the city's website. A public notice announcing the commencement of the public comment period beginning on May 8th, 2026 and ending on June 22nd, 2026 was placed in the legal section of the Carroll County Times and published on May 14th, 2026. A draft of the 5-year plan is attached to this memorandum. It is staff recommendation that the mayor and common council approve the Westminster Public Housing Agency 5-year plan for fiscal year 2025 through 2029 after appropriate comment.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Does anyone wish to speak at this public hearing at this time? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing at 7:08.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Now we will move on to our next order of business, which are some appointments. We have 2 appointments this evening, Tiambe Page and Patrice Albert. Their appointments to the City of Westminster Planning and Zoning Commission. Mayor Becker recommends the appointment of Tiambe Page as a commission member and Paris Howard as an alternate member for a 5-year term to expire on June 22nd of 2031. May I have a motion to appoint Tiambe Page and Paris Halbert to the Planning and Zoning Commission?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Huff.
Second.
And thank you, Mr. Pecoraro. Is there any discussion on these appointments?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Huff.
I will just mention, I really appreciate the collaborative, serving as the ex officio member on the Planning and Zoning Commission. It is the mayor's right to make a recommendation and us to approve it. But I really appreciate the collaborative manner that we all work together to try to find good people to serve in these roles, and how we all work together to try to get good people for our respective commissions. So I just wanted to state that I really appreciate the collaborative nature of how we make these appointments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Huff. I'm going to make one brief comment because I know both of these ladies relatively well, and we are incredibly fortunate to have both of them willing to, give up their time and effort to help the city become, be a better place. So I'm grateful to both of them for being willing to do this. Hearing no more discussion, we'll move on to a vote. All in favor of approving the appointments, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'd like it noted for, any opposed? The ayes have it, and Doug, I'd like it noted for the record that I did vote in the affirmative on that item.
Got it.
We'll now move to approval of the minutes. Well, I'm sorry, we have no minutes to approve. Let me skip that. We're moving on to consent calendar. We have 3 items on the consent calendar this evening. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pecoraro. All those in favor of approving the consent calendar, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it, and the consent calendar is approved. We'll move on to a report from the mayor. Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you, sir. I attended, along with the entire council and several staff members, the Maryland Municipal League Summer Conference from Sunday, June 14th through Wednesday, June 18th. This is a time for municipal leaders across the state of Maryland to come together and learn from each other. For myself, one of the highlights of the conference is the time I can spend networking with other mayors from across the state to share stories and inspiration on projects and issues our cities and towns are facing. This year, I was able to make meaningful connections with Raymond Morris, the mayor of Cumberland, Travis Marion, the mayor of Rising Sun, and Nathan Brown, the mayor of Brunswick, among many others. Another highlight of the conference is the time spent with the state secretaries. Once again, I was able to connect and talk with the Secretary of the Environment regarding the status of Pure Water Westminster and thank her agency again for their partnership. I also spent time in the expo hall, catching up with friends, visiting booths representing various cities across Maryland. Mr. Depot, I think ours absolutely looked the best. And spending time with my good friend, Michelle Waxman Johnson, who leads the Maryland 250 initiative. At MML, I would like to thank my fellow mayors for putting their faith in me and re-electing me as an at-large member of the MML Board of Directors. And I look forward to the work being done next year. On Thursday, June 18th, I opened a Maryland Department of the Environment public hearing for the indirect potable reuse permit for Pure Water Westminster. This was held at Exploration Commons. Information was provided by the agency and our engineers, Waltech, on the specifics of the permit and the safety and effectiveness of the procedures for the facility. All the comments were positive. Council President Tony Cavacci spoke, as well as Delegate Eric Boucher. And then finally, I was out of town for a prior engagement for beer and barbecue, but I don't think you guys could have had better weather. And when I came down Main Street at 7 p.m., you would not have known we had a big street party for thousands of people just a few hours before. Main Street was as clean as it always is. Thank you to everyone who contributed making the event a success. And I'm looking forward to a toast to Italy in July. And that is all, Mr. President.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think I gained a couple of items at that meeting. That was some high level stuff. I took a couple of pictures of the slides and showed them to a couple of friends of mine just so they thought I was smarter about formulas and stuff. Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to report committees. We'll start off with you, Madam Mayor, with the Arts Council.
All right. So work on the mural for the Diffendall lot has started to progress. If you drive through that lot, you can see that the solid background is primed and ready. The completion date will depend a bit on the weather over the next few weeks. And so there hasn't been an opening date set yet, but I know the Arts Council staff are working with Ms. Dimholz to select a date for the opening of that. Kimberly Schultz will take over as president of the board of the Arts Center. Just as a note, Ms. Schultz also serves as the vice president of the New Windsor Town Council.
Oh.
Art summer camps kicked off this week, and the Arts Council is hosting their free summer movie series beginning next Tuesday and every Tuesday through August 4th at 7 p.m. And the movies will be held in the theater on Main Street. And that is all, Mr. President.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We'll move on to Economic and Community Development, Councilman Huff.
Nothing to report tonight.
Thank you, sir. Finance Committee, Councilman Pecoraro.
Nothing this evening, Mr. President.
And Personnel Committee, sir?
Still nothing there, Mr. President.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to Public Safety. I have a couple of things. Special Olympics Torch Run was held on June 9th. I had the honor of reading the city's proclamation. I didn't actually really read it. I just kind of very much paraphrased it. But anyway, recognizing the county Carroll County Law Enforcement Torch Run for Special Olympics Maryland. It was a great event. Roughly about 150 law enforcement officers, athletes, elected officials, and community members came together to carry the flame of hope for Carroll County, Carroll Community, from Carroll Community College down to McDaniel College. It's exactly the kind of thing that reminds you why this community is special. I want to wish all the athletes representing Westminster the best of luck at the Summer Games. And then secondly, I'd like to discuss briefly the Sheets incident the other day. I wanted to take a moment and recognize the Westminster Police Department for how they handled this serious situation this past Friday. A canister labeled as containing some military-grade explosives was found at the Sheets on Sullivan Road. That is not something you take lightly, and the Westminster Police Department didn't. They responded immediately, got people out of harm's way, shut down Route 140, and managed what could have been a dangerous situation in a calm, professional, and decisive manner. I want to specifically commend Deputy Chief Jones, who happens to be here this evening, Major Jones, and the department leadership. This is exactly the kind of response that gives our residents confidence in their police department. I also want to thank the many partner agencies that showed up: the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, the Maryland State Police, the State Fire Marshal, Homeland Security, MDOT, McDaniel Campus Safety, and Carroll County Fire and EMS. That kind of regional cooperation doesn't happen by accident, and it made a real difference. Fortunately, the bomb technicians confirmed the canister was not an explosive device, and the scene was fully cleared by mid-afternoon. But make no mistake, this had the potential to be something serious, and the professionalism shown by everyone involved ensured a safe outcome for our residents. So thank you very much, Major Jones, and please make sure you pass it on to everyone involved how grateful we are the way that was handled. It really demonstrated a lot to me, and I think to my colleagues up here at the dais, that we've got top-notch folks running our department, and I'm looking right at you. Okay. We will now move on to Public Works. Mr. Bayer.
Yes, the Public Works Committee had a meeting on the 11th of June, and we discussed streetlights and gave some input to Sarah as they move forward on the engineering phase.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll move on to Rec and Parks. That is me. I have no report that's official. I will say, though, that, man, that was a heck of a great event, and the weather could not have been better. We got very fortunate. Yeah, it's amazing. Kelly and I did the same thing. We drove down the street, not an hour and a half, 2 hours after the event. You would never know it happened. So kudos to the staff and everyone involved for making that happen. Technology Committee, Mr. Dayhup is not here. Mr. Bayer, and I'm assuming you don't have anything advice on that.
No, I don't.
And then Intergovernmental, Mr. Huff.
I don't have anything that I'm ready to report about just now.
Okay. Let's move on to council comments and discussion. We'll start out with President Pro Tem Pecoraro.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just very briefly, of course, the Saturday's event was terrific. Weather was wonderful. Ms. Gruber's not here, but to be congratulated on finally getting a nice day for, worry-free issues going into one of these things. A beautiful day, streets, everybody's having a good time. It was a pleasure, along with Council President Cavacci, to be able to host our Congressman John Oshevsky, as we walked Main Street. He got to see, some of the activity that we have going on here. Westminster has been a strong supporter of the city, and been very helpful in procuring some significant federal aid, congressionally directed federal aid for us, and we appreciated that very much. Also, just wanted to mention that the previous week, I also attended the Maryland Municipal League Conference, where I, in addition to the other things you get to do there, I was personally honored to be invited to lead a workshop on parliamentary procedure and running effective meetings. It was a very nice gesture on the part of the MML staff to ask me to single me out to do that. They placed it as the last session on Wednesday. So it was like the only thing that was keeping people there from going home or going to the beach or whatever. I was amazed how many people we had show up, and I very much appreciated all the folks from Westminster who stuck around to join me there. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Huff.
I will mention something really struck me when I was at the conference. I was at Councilman Pecораro's session on Robert's Rules, And prior to that, there was one about conducting effective meetings. And what really struck me sitting through those two sessions, and they were full, is there are a lot of municipalities that struggle with running good meetings and keeping a certain level of decorum among their elected officials. And it struck me while I was sitting there, what an excellent job the city of Westminster has done over the years from an institutional standpoint of mentoring new council people into the group and really in a very nice and compassionate way, kind of very clearly stating what the expectations are. I think some people, when they watch these meetings, think that we all agree about everything, and that is not the case. But I would argue that we handle our disagreements very well with each other. And I think that's a real testament to some of the people that have been here before us, and quite frankly, to you, Councilman Pecoraro, and you, Council President Kimachi. You've been here a long time, and I think you have really set a good example. And not just the mayor's been here too, but you guys have been here a long time. And I think that you have set a really excellent tone and have been a great role model as we bring other people on. So it just really struck me when I was sitting there that day, how fortunate I feel to be among this group and not in certain other municipalities that people were sharing some of their horror stories about.
Very kind.
So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Bayard.
Yes, I also attended the MML convention, and I think it was at supper, somebody one day asked me about, was this my first one? And I said, no, it wasn't my first one. The first one was 1988. And I said, back then, the convention was held in the Carousel Hotel, and the ice rink was where the vendor sat. How that organization has grown and become so effective in the state is just amazing. Saturday was a really busy day. Not only did I get to the beer and barbecue, but earlier that morning I went to an event, a veterans focused event down at the Freedom Fire Company. It was an event raising money for Reads Across America in Maryland, and also for the Maryland Veteran Cemeteries. It was well attended. They had state police, Maryland National Guard equipment there, and it was pretty exciting for the kids and others. And then that evening I went to my little brother's birthday party. So it was quite a busy day. I don't think I got back home until about 9:30. So that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barry. Let's have a couple quick things. Like Councilman Pecoraro mentioned, we had Johnny O, our congressman, in town on Saturday, and I was asked because the mayor wasn't available if I could maybe pinch hit for her. And I generally hate that kind of stuff. It's just not my cup of tea. But I gotta say, he's a pretty cool dude. I enjoyed hanging out with him. He's actually a real guy. We may not agree, philosophically on everything, but I was pretty impressed with the guy. I liked him. Other than that, that's all I got. So let's move on to our next item of business, which is ordinances and resolutions. We have 3 items before us this evening. Our first item is adoption of ordinance 2026-04. Mr. Whitworth.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have 3 ordinances for your consideration. The first of which is the adoption of ordinance 2026-04, an ordinance of the Mayor and Common Council of Westminster, Maryland, amending the adopted budget for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026, fiscal year 2026. This is amendment number 2.
Thank you very much, Mr. Whitworth. Director of Finance, Rogers.
Thank you, sir. Ordinance number 2026-04 was introduced to the Mayor and Common Council on June 8th of 2026. Since that time, we have not made any adjustments to this ordinance. As Mr. Pecoraro mentioned last time when it was introduced, these are items that have all been brought forth before the council. So at this time, the staff is recommending the Mayor and Common Council adopt the amended budget appropriations as detailed in ordinance number 2026-04. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and get it on the floor. May I have a motion for the adoption of ordinance 2026-04?
So moved, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Pecoraro. Do I have a second?
Second.
I think Mr. Bayard beat you, Mr. Huff.
No problem.
Okay, now we have it on the floor. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and move for a vote. All those in favor of adoption of ordinance number 2026-04, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and the ordinance is adopted. Now we'll move on to our next item of business, Mr. Whitworth.
The second ordinance for your consideration is the adoption of ordinance 2026-05, an ordinance of the mayor and common council of Westminster, amending chapter A 175 fees, article 1 utility fees, section A 175-1 utility fees, charges and costs adopted, utility fee schedule established to increase the sewer and water benefit assessment fees.
Thank you very much. City Administrator Impulse.
Thank you, Mr. President. Following a review of the city's water and sewer utility system's fiscal needs, the council has determined that the current water and sewer special benefit assessment rates no longer adequately reflect the costs associated with supporting these essential public infrastructure systems. As a result, revisions to the existing special benefit assessment schedules are proposed to better align assessment rates with current service and system costs. The proposed amendments are intended to ensure that the city's fee structure remains equitable, financially sustainable, and sufficient to support the continued provision of reliable water and sewer services to the community. That concludes
Give us
my comments.
I wasn't sure if there's anything coming after that or not. Okay, let's go ahead and get it on the floor. May I have a motion for the adoption of ordinance 2026-05?
So moved, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Pecoraro. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much, Mr. Huff. Is there any discussion?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
just in addition to what Ms. Impulse, provided there, just wanted to add that the finance committee worked with the staff to consider this issue. One of the key things that we always want to make sure of is that, of course, we know we're going to have some additional water resources available to the city in the coming year. Will allow, in addition to providing more water security for the city, will allow some level of growth in the city of additional development. And it is always our goal to have that new development, the cost of the new infrastructure, pay for itself to the extent possible. And so it's been many years since we've updated this, largely because it's been many years since we've had the opportunity for any kind of additional development. So here we are, now we've got that opportunity, and it's important to take advantage of it and adjust these fees to the appropriate levels so that the new development that's going to take place, it will contribute significantly to that the new infrastructure, and it won't be a burden on the current ratepayers.
Thank you, Mr. Pecoraro. Does anyone else have any discussion or comments about
Council
this?
President.
Yes, sir, Mr. Huff.
The only thing I will add in addition, because I'm on that committee as well, is we did also have some discussions regarding what some other municipalities charge and what the county charges. So we did have sensitivity of how we compare, and new development certainly should be paying for itself. But we also want to kind of make sure that we're in line with what other governmental entities are charging, and we are. So I think there was a lot of good work put into these numbers between staff and the finance committee when we all discussed that. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Huff. Anyone else? Okay, hearing no more discussion, we'll move on to a vote. All those in favor of adoption of ordinance 2026-05, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, and the ordinance is adopted. We'll now move on to our third item of business, Mr. Whitworth.
The last ordinance for your consideration is the adoption of ordinance 2026-06, an ordinance of the mayor and common council of Westminster, amending chapter 124, sewers and sewage, article 8, administration and enforcement, to add section 124-32.1, inspections, to provide for regular inspections of the wastewater facilities of commercial and industrial establishments served by the city's wastewater system, and providing for fines and penalties for the denial of access for such facilities.
Thank you, Mr. Whitworth. I'll make one note before I give it to City Administrator Halls. We have a new draft from staff that incorporates our concerns from the last meeting as they relate to charging fees for not charging fees for routine inspections. So without objection, we will substitute this new draft for the original draft. City Administrator Halls.
The city operates water reclamation and industrial pretreatment systems that are subject to permits and regulatory oversights by the Maryland Department of the Environment, or MDE. These permits require the city to monitor, regulate, and control discharges into the sanitary sewer system to ensure compliance with environmental regulations, protect wastewater treatment operations, and safeguard public health. Such requirements include the identification and regulation of industrial users, monitoring and reporting obligations, management of fats, oils, and grease discharges, and the prevention of pollutants that may interfere with the treatment processes. Commercial and industrial users may be discharging prohibited substances into the city's wastewater system. These discharges could increase operational costs, impair the efficiency and effectiveness of wastewater treatment facilities, and jeopardize compliance with state permit requirements. To address these concerns and strengthen the city's ability to protect critical utility infrastructure, the proposed ordinance establishes a program of routine inspections for applicable commercial and industrial facilities and authorizes enforcement measures, including fines and penalties for individuals or entities that impede or obstruct such inspections. The proposed amendments are intended to support regulatory compliance, reduce operational risks and cost, protect public health and the environment, and ensure the continued safe and efficient operations of the city's water and wastewater systems. And as the council president mentioned on page 3, section 2, new language has been added since the ordinance was introduced by the council at the last meeting that specifically identifies that no fees will be charged for the inspections themselves. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Halls. Let's go ahead and get it on the floor. May I have a motion for the adoption of ordinance 2026-06, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Bayer. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Pecoraro. Was there any discussion related to this item?
I just
No, go ahead.
want to say that this is really important. It's a permit requirement. Someone asked me why we're doing this. And I said, well, it's a permit requirement, but even more importantly, this is how we protect our system, our water and sewer systems. So we don't have bad actors getting into the system, getting into the water and sewer system and then impacting our city in a negative way. I think that with the addition of the amendment, I don't think most people will realize this is happening. We'll do the inspections, it won't cost them any money, and I think most people will comply as we would expect. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Baird. Anyone else? Hearing no more discussion, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of adoption of ordinance 2026-06, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, and the ordinance is adopted. We have no unfinished business that I'm aware of. Is there any unfinished business I am not aware of? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. I have no new business. Is there any new business that I'm not aware of? Moving on, we'll move to department reports. Ms. Impulse.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to start by commenting on part of your report, which was thanking the police department and specifically Major Jones. I just want to remind the council and the public, Major Jones is new to the city. He's been with us less than a year. He's new to the state of Maryland. So he's been to the state of Maryland less than a year, which makes this particular incident even more impressive because it involved many agencies, as you indicated. So I want to take an extra moment to thank the police department and specifically Major Jones for a job well done. All right. I'm very happy to report that I gave my last Public Works update
Yes.
to the council tonight. As of tomorrow, we have a new director starting and we're excited to have her.
Nobody more than you.
Nobody more than me, although Mark Tepos racing for a tie for first, but he didn't make it. I'm there. We're excited to have her and we've got a full few weeks ahead of her to get her up to date and meeting all the staff. thank you specifically to our HR director who helped find this particular candidate, land this particular candidate, and then of course, on board, which is a whole different process, as you all know. Okay, so we have a shortened report for you tonight since we have another meeting afterwards for all of us. We'll start with Mr. Brown. Do you have anything for the council?
I do not.
Okay. I want to thank you, council, for your public hearing tonight. HUD has a lot of requirements in order to run a public agency, a public housing agency. If we don't dot all those T's and cross all those I's in the exact order that they prefer them, then we have to go back to the beginning and do the whole thing over again. So we appreciate you holding our hands during the process. Beer and barbecue, I thought was a tremendous success this year. That's often a tremendous success because the weather cooperates with us. I'm told by the police department that we had upward of 10 to 11,000 people. Ms. Gruber has day off today because of all the efforts she put in on Saturday, as well as last week, which was a big week for us. We had the first wedding at Wakefield that we've had this year.
How did it go? How did it go?
I think it went well. We had all hands on deck just so we could use it as a learning experience. The wedding themselves certainly appreciated it. We're working to make sure that we're delivering the best product possible. So there's some lessons learned there. But I think it went well, and we're looking forward to being able to host more events for local folks who want to use it. We also had the daddy daughter dance.
Arnold Schwarzenegger showed up for that.
We held that this year at Wakefield, which was also where we held the mother-son dance as well. That used to be over at Martin's, if you recall. It's an event everybody really looks forward to every single year. They had a great time this year. Wakefield's a good site for that, I think. And that was last week as well. And we also started summer camp on Monday of last week. So things are busy with the Recreation and Parks Department, and we're excited for that. Any questions for them? All right, we're going to move on then to Planning Department. We don't have any reports from anyone else on that side of the room. Mr. Depot.
Thank you. On June 18th, the Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed a water and sewer master plan amendment for Great Valley Propane. This is the property we're annexing next to Pub Dog to modify the service area from future water service W5 to priority service area W3. And the commission certified that the amendment is consistent with the Westminster Comprehensive Plan. There are no applications scheduled for the Board of Zoning Appeals July 7th meeting, and that's all I have.
Any questions for the Planning Department? Hearing none, we'll move on to the Finance Department, who's very busy wrapping up with end of year things. Ms. Rogers.
Just briefly, just a reminder, we are wrapping up the fiscal year end and opening up for the new fiscal year already, getting budgets uploaded, et cetera, for next year. And we're also planning for our preliminary audit, which will be in July. And that is my report.
I feel like we just finished with the audit, but we're already back to that old song. Any questions for the Finance Director? Hearing none, we will move on to the Police Department. Major Jones.
Thank you. First, I want to say I appreciate your support for a critical incident that occurred last Friday. Those are complex incidents, especially with the resources. I appreciate you thanking everyone. I also want to call attention to the excellent support I received from Ms. Imholz. She is an excellent conduit to our elected officials. She provides and inspires confidence in the Westminster Police Department to lead these events. And the third thing is she asks excellent pointed questions, which help keep everything focused as it should be.
Yes, she does.
It does too, huh?
We can do it both ways. She does it up and down.
Second, on June 16, 2026, the Westminster Police Department was pleased to welcome our new parking enforcement officer. Our parking visitors may have been accustomed to restricted parking enforcement on Main Street with the gap in service between the former and current position holders. So we anticipate an increase in warnings as we begin to roll out our parking enforcement efforts. Also, as you know, and we mentioned it already, the Beer and Barbecue Stroll was a wonderful collaboration, and we enjoyed working with Parks and we enjoyed working with Streets, who provided so many support services as we ultimately rolled out. We did not have any issues that were reported. And so it was an event success, and I was able to walk the event, and I was very impressed just with how friendly people are. And it was just a wonderful experience.
Are there any questions for the police department? Mr. President, that concludes the staff report.
Thank you, Ms. Inhofe. Now, we'll move on to the final item on our agenda, which is citizen comments, during which we invite the public to address the mayor and council on any issues related to tonight's agenda or any other city matters. For those not attending this public meeting, we welcome your comments via email at comments@westminstermd.gov. All emailed comments will be shared with the mayor and council. Please include your address and phone number with your comments. We will now invite comments from those present this evening. This is an opportunity for the public to share their thoughts with the mayor and council. Our role at this point is to listen to your comments and respond appropriately after consulting with staff and each other. Is there anyone here this evening that would like to be heard? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Tammy Lyman. I live at 412 Poor Road, apartment 83. We have bushes that need to be trimmed up near our place.
So what location is that?
It is close to Carroll Fuel, but I have almost fallen like several times, and you can see like where it's like some of it's like on the road right there.
Okay.
And it really needs to be trimmed back.
You're talking about along when you turn onto Pool Road, that house they renovated on the corner?
No.
No, it's kind of,
above Carroll Fuel on Westminster.
yeah. And it really needs to be trimmed before someone seriously gets injured, because there's no sidewalks on that area at all. You can see where I took the pictures at.
Before you leave this evening, can you try to give the exact location to either Mr. Depot or Ms. Inhofe, so that they know actually exactly where you're talking about?
It's right on the help on Carroll Mark.
I'm sorry?
It's right the help on Carroll Mark.
No, you mean Carroll Fuel?
Carroll Mark.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That concludes our agenda and the meeting. Our next regularly scheduled meeting is Monday, July 13th. And with that and without objection, we are adjourned.